I'm choking, so you're gonna have to do it.
You're going to continue to choke. Okay. All right. So, well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for showing up. We have Eric Willner, who's going to be going over our debt shredder program. He will be looking at this from a couple different perspectives. For those people, we do have some business owners on this call, and then we also have some guests that'll be on the call as well. So for the guests that are in attendance, you can get back with the person that invited you on to get a little more clarifications on, because when Eric is actually showing this to us, he will be showing it from both perspectives. As business owners that are offering this product to individuals, as well as some investors or other individuals, and then also from a perspective of you as being somebody that may want to purchase this product for your own personal use. So just be patient with the information that's going to be given out to you tonight, and we will have a little Q&A at the end. So any questions that anybody has, just put them into the chat. And then once we get done at the end, then we'll go ahead and answer all those questions for you. So without further ado, Eric, take it away. It's all you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to assume that I have permission to share the screen. Let's see here. Let's go to share the screen. And hopefully everybody can. Let me move this out of the way. Okay. Slideshow. Everybody got their popcorn, and we'll go from here. So anyway, first of all, just a brief introduction. I see some familiar names that I already know. My name is Eric Willner. I am an unfranchised owner. I'm also host of the Real Estate Show. That's the background that you see here. I do most of my time is spent in the world of real estate as a real estate entrepreneur, owner of an investment mortgage company, a property management company. I own properties myself. So my world revolves around the topic of real estate. And as I often say on my radio show, which a quick shameless plug for it, is that it's live 5 days a week. In fact, I always say that I come at you live 5 p.m. That's Eastern time, 5 days a week, 5 different ways that you can listen to the show. One is on our local AM station, our local FM stations, on the iHeartRadio app, if you have either the TuneIn app, the radio.com app, but you can listen. So the show that used to be just a little South Florida radio show today is heard literally worldwide. You can also get that information and listen to the show live that we stream it on our website at automaticlandlord.com. And that's, again, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And you can also watch us broadcast the show on our Facebook. And we have a Facebook page called The Real Estate Show, all one word. And I talk about real estate. I talk about property ownership. I talk about mortgages, which is what brought me to the topic of what we're talking about today, which is the debt shredder. You know, most Americans, over 2/3 of Americans who own real estate own it with some sort of financing. And most people accept the fact that they're going to own real estate, pay on it for either a 15-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage. Many people end up refinancing and starting that clock over and over. So most people don't realize how much money they spend in terms of interest. And ironically, one of the things that I've always done in helping investors build real estate portfolios and first-time homeowners get into homes is, how do I save my clients the most amount of money possible? And years ago, I came across this product, which is called the Debt Shredder. And it's very, very interesting because it's really not just about the mortgage, it's about all of our lifestyle expenses. So it doesn't matter who you are, where you live, where you come from. The bottom line is that we all have different financial goals. And probably the number one expense that we have that we think about, when I always ask people, what's the number one expense that you have in your life? And most people say, what's your house? Well, the truth of the matter is that it's not your house. It is your mortgage on your house. Some of you may know that you pay somewhere between 2.5 and 3 times what you pay on your house in mortgage payments over the life of the mortgage. So if there was one place that if I could optimize and make a difference, most people would say that it's in their mortgage, because that's what gets in the way of the goals that we have in life. And whether your goals are to go play golf in Hawaii, to buy a nice car, to maybe buy a second home down the road, own real estate, maybe pay for your kids' college, maybe your grandkids' college, vacations, not to mention getting married, the expenses of getting married, having kids, and so forth. All of these things are competing for every dollar that we have. But the one thing that they all have in common is that these goals all put us into debt. Every one of these things is financeable and usually manifests itself in the form of debt. So in reality, you know, we have these goals that I was just talking about, but the reality is that life takes shape in a whole different way. Society tells us that way. We go to school, we get a job, we come out of school, and if you're lucky enough to get out of school without having student loans, which today is probably one of the biggest problems that our younger generation is facing. You start out with income, and then you go out, you get a job which qualifies you to go get a mortgage. Then chances are you're going to get married. Then you're going to have children. Then you're going to want a home, and then you're going to start playing the game of keeping up with the Jones, which means you're going to want to get a nice car, which then says, okay, well, the Jones went on vacation, why can't we? And here we go, kind of back into that spiral in a different order. But what they didn't tell you with all those other goals is, look at the green bar there, didn't quite keep up with the red bar, which is the debt. And so we live in a society that is more about consumption and payments and less focused. And of course, the people out there marketing would just assume rather us focus on the payments that you can afford versus the price tag, the real cost, right? So like I like to say to people, our dreams and goals get replaced by consumer debt and the monthly cost of living. We budget not for the price tag of what we buy. We end up budgeting for the monthly payments that we make. So again, we budget for the price tag of what we buy, but we fail to budget for the true cost of what we're accumulating. And what are we accumulating in this debt-fueled economy? Well, credit cards, the average statistics, and by the way, some of these numbers I think are low. Average credit card debt, $16,425. The average mortgage debt, they say, is $180,000. But think about this. The median home price today in the United States, which means half of the homes cost less than this and half the homes cost more than about $280,000 nationwide. And if you're putting only 10% down, okay, which a lot of people don't even put 10% down, that means you're looking at a mortgage of $250,000, $260,000. So here you go. I think that number is understated of an average mortgage debt. And think about in your own situation. Average student loan, $50,000. And how many of you have heard about mortgage debt in the 6 figures of people coming out of college? There are doctors that have been practicing for 5-10 years and they still haven't paid off all of their student loans. And then of course, the average car loan, $31,000, is not exactly what you would consider to be a luxury car either. So let's go back to the conversation about the mortgage, a 30-year mortgage. Each one of those little squares is 1 year. 30 years of paying a mortgage payment. If I were to take out a mortgage of $200,000 at a 4.5% interest rate. And by the way, has anyone noticed what's been happening to interest rates lately? Right? The interest rates have been going up in the recent weeks, and that's going to present an issue for affordability. And it's also going to make this product even more important. But what most people look at, if they're getting an interest rate now, and when this slide was originally put together, 4.5 was a good rate, then 3% became a good rate. And we were even doing mortgages at 2% for a fixed 30-year mortgage. By the way, that's out the window. The 2% 30-year fixed mortgages are gone. You might be able to get one in a 15-year mortgage, but at 200,000 at a very decent rate of 4.5%, your monthly payment, not including taxes, not including insurance, just the mortgage portion of your payment, is $1,013 a month. So think about that. So I'm going to be paying on this $200,000 mortgage 360 months. So 360 times 1,000. Do the quick math there. You realize how much you're going to be paying back. And I would get someone say, but Eric, who keeps the same house for 30 years? Well, then you just told me that the problem got worse because you're starting the clock over again. Whether you refinance or whether you buy another house, aren't you just starting the clock over again? Which means at that 30-year mark, most people will spend their entire working careers, 40, 50, maybe 60 years, paying on a mortgage. So now you tell me how much that money matters. But now let's look at it a little bit more closely. The first year of a mortgage, I've got this 200,000 mortgage, 4.5%, 1,013 a month. 1 year later, I pay 12 months or a little over $12,000. Look what I've paid in principal, $3,226 versus $8,934, which is interest. Wait, I thought my interest rate was 4.5%, yet 73% of my payment went to interest, which means that it did me no good in the reduction of principal. All it did was pay the bank's cost of lending me the money, 73%. So who is focusing on the right aspect? And this is, why is this? Well, most of us have become accustomed to know that mortgages are amortized over the 30 years. Amortization front loads the interest on the beginning of the loan. So most of your mortgage payment goes towards interest, then it goes to principal. And believe it or not, and just a quick survey, who knows when, in what year do I get to the halfway balance of my mortgage? It's not 15 years, it's the 21st year. Not until year 21 do I get to the halfway balance there of the mortgage. Year 2 must get a lot better, right? Not really. Again, 12 more payments. Now, instead of 3,200 towards principal, I got a little better, 3,400. I'm still paying 8,700 towards interest, and the process goes on. 20 years later, like I was just saying, I have paid $243,000 to the mortgage company, and yet I'm still at the halfway mark, about the halfway mark of my mortgage. So I always kid around. Every time we take out a mortgage, we're buying one house for me and 2 houses for the bank. And imagine for a second, imagine if I could eliminate 1 or 2 of those houses to the bank. Imagine if I could eliminate that interest and keep some of that money, pay less interest, and keep some of that money in my own pocket. After 30 years, $365,000 for that $200,000 mortgage that I originally took. And I hope that I'm getting the point across how severe this is. And yet I'll bet you that most of the time you don't hear this conversation. You hear more about, well, you got a 4% interest rate. Isn't that great? The average household, now talking about not just the mortgage, but remember we got car loans, we've got credit card and all sorts of other sources of interest that we have to pay. The average household spends 34.5 cents of every dollar on debt, on interest. That's money that basically you might as well just light a match to it because it does nothing to build up your personal wealth. So most people could be living the lives they've always dreamed of if they weren't paying 34% out towards interest, not to mention another 20 to 30% out in taxes. Is it a wonder it's so hard to get ahead? If people understood the effects of interest and of debt, they would concentrate and plan a lot more. So again, I asked the question, if I could show you a way of stopping overpayment of the interest on your debt, would you not be able to put that money to a better use, i.e. your family, your house, your vacations, etc.? So the question, of course, is why do most people fail to reach their financial goal of freedom? Well, I just laid out how almost 60% of your every dollar goes out either to debt or to taxes. The problem most of us have in life is that we generally are comfortable enough because we've been thinking in terms of what can I afford to pay per month? You know, what's left over in the bank account? If there's something left over, I did good. We're so busy juggling all of those debts that we don't have enough time to really plan for our financial future. And I'm going to show you how to change that. So when it comes to making wise financial decisions, most people take the path of least resistance, the easy way, not the best way. So based now on what you heard me talk about, on a scale of 1 to 5, hold a finger up to the screen, whether would you like to get out of debt on a scale of 1 to 5? 1 is take me out of debt now, or 5, hey, you know, I got time, I got extra money. Let me go ahead and just send the interest, keep going status quo. So is it a 1? Get me out of debt, or is it a 5? A 1, good, good. So what are your options that you might have heard about right now? For most people, it's pay the minimum payment. I get a statement, it said make that payment, I made the payment, everything's good, put the envelope away in a drawer, move back and go catch the latest episode of Netflix. Or you could be looking out there and looking at the different interest rates, refinance the debt, maybe consolidate some of the debt so you simplify the payments. That's an option. You could try making bi-weekly payments, and the dirty little secret about bi-weekly payments, will it help you pay off your mortgage faster? Absolutely. But will you have to pay extra money? Absolutely. Because what the sort of the gimmick that I like to say behind bi-weekly payments is what you're doing is that you're paying every 2 weeks. Now, there's 52 weeks in a year. Divide that in half, bi-weekly payments. That means that there's 26 full payments, not 24. So what I really did was I actually made 2 extra payments per year. And yes, that will accelerate. And by the way, if you do nothing else, go do that, because that's better than doing nothing, and you'll save some money. Not as much as what I'm going to show you. Or the other thing is just go out, get another job, make more money, send more money in. How would you like to find out a different way to do that, that you don't have to send extra money to principal, that you don't have to go out and make more money, you don't have to make more frequent payments to your mortgage company, and make sure that they credit it towards principal, not towards the escrows and all those other silly things. There's other strategies that you might have heard about there, the debt snowball, for example, where you attack the smallest debt. And what it does is it gives you the sense of accomplishment, because I can pay off that next debt, take that payment, add it to the next biggest debt, and then slowly accumulate, and it starts to accelerate. And it gives you a sense of progress, but that's not the fastest way to pay off debt. There's the debt avalanche, where they say, go and attack the highest interest rate and pay that off, because after all, the highest interest rate is kind of like current in a river. The higher the interest rate, the stronger the current that I'm fighting to get out of debt. The other dirty little secret that the banks and the credit card companies won't tell you is that it's not all about the interest rate. They have a minimum payment, how much that they're trying to charge extra. If you'll notice, you could have 2 credit cards, even with the same interest rate, same balance, and they'll have different minimum payments. And I'll tell you that if you only pay the minimum payment on your credit card could last as long as your mortgage, and in some cases longer. And that's something else that most people don't understand about credit cards, because they're just paying mostly interest, a small incremental repayment of principal or of the balance, but they're in no rush to get you off of the credit card, treadmill. So what do you do if those aren't the best methods? What is it that I should be doing? And imagine if there was something like a financial GPS, right? Something where I could plug in my destination, i.e. financial freedom, debt, becoming debt-free, and it tells me what is the best thing to do. That it puts all the algorithms of the credit card companies, the car loan companies, the mortgage companies, and takes all of those algorithms and starts doing calculations for me. And then it tells me who I should pay this month with what money I actually have coming in. Because this works not by having to make extra money, but by simply rearranging who I pay, how much, and when. This product, the Debt Shredder, is the only financial GPS that exists out there in the marketplace. And as I mentioned, as a 20+ year veteran in the mortgage business, I was looking, in fact, that when I first started doing this, I used to do this on spreadsheets myself. And I would have these complicated spreadsheets, but the frustration is that I could do the spreadsheets and I could come up with this, and this was time consuming, but I couldn't do it for everybody. And I couldn't just give somebody the spreadsheets, because half the people that I gave the spreadsheets to would look at me and then say, I can't do this. So the product, the Debt Shredder, which is a product owned by Market America, is an incredible product. It's a shame that it's not heard of more often, yet it still is well known it's been featured in Success Magazine, all the mortgage company or publications out there, Mortgage Planner, the Mortgage Banker, all the online things that I subscribe to, they mention it in passing. But again, the big lenders are not going to go too far out of their ways to show you how to get rid of them. Home Business Magazine had a really neat article on us. True Wealth had it, and you'll see as we talk more about this. And if you start now paying attention, you'll hear more about it. But let me tell you a little bit more about what the Debt Shredder is not. And this was important. It's not a refinance. And one of the frustrations that I have oftentimes when I'm trying to help someone to pay off their mortgage or get the best program is sometimes they don't qualify. They don't have good enough credit. They don't have enough verifiable income. And if they're not able to refinance, then they get locked out. The Debt Shredder has no credit score requirement, no income requirement. And in many cases, it may actually forego the need to refinance, because just by doing this, what this will do is that it will change your effective interest rate simply by optimizing your debt in a different way. It's not a mortgage modification. It's not a debt roll down. It's nothing that I have to apply for and pay fees to a mortgage company. Don't have to go through what I call a financial oscopy. I don't have to increase my payment. Now, if you can, I can show you how to do magical things, and I can show, and I have shown people how to pay off their mortgage, not in 1/2 the time, not in 1/3 the time, but in as little as 1/4 of the time. Imagine paying a mortgage off in 7 to 10 years. It happens all the time now with the debt shredder. And what's also neat, some people happen to love their lender. They don't want to refinance. Well, you don't have to change your lender. You're just not going to have to live with them as long. You don't have to change your lifestyle. You don't have to, tighten your belt and, eat less food because you're trying to save and pay off your mortgage. This simply reallocates, reoptimizes your current budget. So, like I said, this is like a financial GPS. And even if you have to change courses along the way, an emergency comes up, or even maybe an opportunity to make an investment, I'll tell you that this program works super well for the average homeowner. If you have more than $20,000 worth of debt, this applies to you. If you have multiple real estate properties, then this is like a gift from heaven. This is the smart way to save money. This is the smart way to reduce your debt. And in a minute, I'm going to show you not only how to reduce your debt faster than ever before, any other way you've ever seen before, but I'm also going to show you how to take that debt, convert it into wealth, and accumulate assets, cash, liquid assets that you can spend. So what is the debt shredder? In reality, it's an online web-based. That means you always have the most up-to-date version. You can access it from wherever you are, on vacation, at home, from the office. And it is something that you can do what-if situations. You simply enter in the type of debt you have, the balances that you have. It's very simple. If you know how to enter the information into the check register in your checkbook, you could use the debt shredder. It's that easy. And here's the cool part. It's that easy, yet behind the scenes, they're using proven bank strategies and very complex. If you could do it, you wouldn't do it because it's so laborious and time consuming. All the multiple calculations. It's like playing chess against a computer. It does all the what if scenarios first, and then it gives you the best move. That's what the debt shredder does for your finances. And like I said, it's the only interactive. That means you put in the information. I get an extra money, a tax refund check. I get a raise. I put that in real time, it changes my GPS and it shows me immediately my payoff date, how many years and months to go there. And I'm going to show you that in just a second. But it has the very unique ability to adjust in real time as the situations change. So let's take a look at it. This is a picture of the dashboard. So when you log into your debt shredder, you're going to see how much interest is remaining for me to pay. It's going to tell me how many years I have left to pay off based on the current information. And it also is going to show me how much interest I have saved, the potential and the actual. It's going to help me with my budget and tracking my expenses. It's going to show you your net worth. And like I said, it's kind of neat. I will tell you that I've had folks that just when they saw this part right here, they've been searching for ways. Their financial planners couldn't tell them exactly when they could pick their retirement date. This financial tool does that. In fact, this is a great tool. Now think of this, taking my hat off from showing you this product. If you know financial planners out there, if you know mortgage brokers out there, if you know real estate agents out there, and you share this product with them, this is a way that they can add additional value to their clients, and they'll be very grateful. They'll be great. They are great sources of referrals. So you get a dashboard, you see the time to pay off, the interest saved, and all of the things that you need to do each time. And you can log in like once a week, like when you pay your bills, once a week, once every other week, depends on the frequency of your financial activity. So here's an example of actually it was a real life person. They had a mortgage. They had a mortgage of $168,000 at 5.5% interest. Their monthly payment was $1,270. They had a car loan of $8,900 at 7%. They had 2 credit cards and in addition to that. Total debt, $192,000 in debt with an effective or average interest rate of 5.5% with a total monthly payment of $2,100. I love this little quote here, by the way. Those who understand interest, who don't understand interest, are doomed to pay it. Those who do understand it are destined to earn it. And I don't know about you, but I want to be part two, those destined to earn the income, the interest from the rents and the mortgages that I issue to other people. So here, once we plugged in all of the information, it tells you that you, what you're paying now, which is in the red column. In fact, let me go back one if I can. In the red column, this is what you're doing if you don't change anything. On the right side with the debt shredder shows, in this case here, this person, based on their current situation, instead of paying off after 28.8 years, they could pay off their mortgage in just over 7 years. And it goes from the blue debt into green assets, because what you're seeing here is taking that monthly payment. Once I'm out of debt, what am I going to do with it? Well, to be super conservative, what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you here, is I'm going to take that same payment, I'm going to put it in a 1% interest-bearing account. Now, in the world that I live in, investments in real estate and so forth, 1% wouldn't even move the needle. We do much better than that. But this is to show you very, very conservatively what a monumental difference it is to pay the interest to yourself over here at 1%. And by the same period of time when I would have been mortgage free the traditional way, look at the balance that I would have accumulated compounding at just 1% annualized. It's amazing. So then the debt shredder also shows it to me graphically. It shows the summaries. It shows with the debt shredder, we'll use your 21.8 years saved to start building wealth. That's the green line. The red was my old mortgage if I paid it the old way. With the debt shredder, I pay it off in about 7 years, and then my balance starts accumulating, because instead of paying the bank, I'm paying me, my investments. And at just 1%, imagine what your savings might be at higher interest rates. And PS, even in your bank account, with all the debt that this country is accumulating, higher interest rates are coming. So here, the dashboard shows me that I'm going to be debt-free if I was this person in 7.1 years. I actually know the date, February 2025, when I will be retirable, right? I love that word, retirable. How many years did I save? How much interest did I save? And what my average monthly savings, if I start and implement this, I'm going to be saving on average $1,500 per month going forward. And by the way, you saw that with the numbers that we started, we're not exactly huge, big numbers, but with little to no alteration to my current standard of living, no refinancing of my existing mortgage necessary, no consolidation, debt consolidation, credit repair, nothing. Let the software easily and very simply direct you to zero debt in the shortest period of time that's possible using these 4 strategies. And it's a combination of these 4 strategies, along with having and mastering the algorithms that are behind bank loans, amortization schedules, car loans, simple interest versus compound interest, etc. First of all, is a very interesting process called interest cancellation. If I were to make an extra principal payment ahead of schedule on my mortgage, I'm actually canceling 1 month of interest. So it makes it possible to pay back a fraction of the interest that I otherwise would own or owe. Strategic payoff means that I can actually strategically pay the highest or the greatest utilization rate, the highest cost per thousand, what we call it. So this program analyzes your situation and determines the best path for you without having to have a PhD. The time value of money, you know that $1 today is worth more than $1 will be 30 years from now. And that can be a huge difference. And not only do you get these strategies, not to mention the float, we will show you how to utilize the float of each one of these different types of debt to help with these strategies. So with the Debt Shredder, what do you get? You get this interactive online software, but you also get coaching. Myself, I'm one of the elite coaches for the Debt Shredder. I help a lot of folks out there, a lot of our UFOs that need help explaining it. Don't worry that you didn't get this the first time around. I will help you. We have other coaches as well. They have an 800 number where there's a dedicated coach that your clients can call to onboard and set up their accounts the first time. So someone will literally hold your hand and walk you through downloading, entering your initial stuff and how to do it on a monthly basis.
Coming fast. It's really cool.
Did I have some questions?
What he's talking.
Okay, if you're having a different conversation, please mute, but otherwise, just about there. I'm on the final landing strip here. Just to summarize, the software will tell you how much to move, the exact dollar amount. And sometimes it looks crazy, like move $324.50 from this account to that account. When to move it, the exact date, from what account to what account. And here's the interesting thing. Sometimes you're going to say, well, that seems weird. Why would I move it from my checking account to my savings account, or from my savings account onto my credit card? Remember, I might be able to use float and take money off of any kind of interest, park it, and then make the strategic payment at the same time. The program is constantly adjusting to the real world situation to get you where? Zero debt. So here's kind of a summary, and I'll make this offer to anyone that's on the call tonight, and there's no cost, no obligation. But if you want to provide your information, and I don't need social security numbers, I don't need any private information, account numbers. All I need are balances and payments, and I can prepare one of those graphs like you just saw tonight, and this summary that'll show you what is your current situation, you know, if the banks had their way with you, versus the Debt Shredder. It'll show you what are your savings, what are your total interest payments, what are your total payments that you'll make with the Debt Shredder or without the Debt Shredder. And I'm going to tell you, 99 times out of 100 with the Debt Shredder, if you, like I said, if you have more than $20,000 worth of debt, the Debt Shredder will beat your situation as it stands today. And you'll see in real numbers. And by the way, the Debt Shredder guarantees these results. If you do what the Debt Shredder says to do, these will be your final results. And so the question is kind of neat, and this is for those of you who are unfranchised owners or who are thinking of becoming unfranchised owners. The software practically closes itself. Why wait? Why would you wait? Every month that you delay, right here, every month that you delay, you would be losing out on $1,500 a month. And I don't know about you, but $1,500 to me, I can do a lot with $1,500. And why would I give up $1,500 that I don't have to? And by the way, that includes, because I can even factor in the cost of the Debt Shredder into this analysis. And in this case here, this included the Debt Shredder being purchased, even if you had to put the Debt Shredder on a credit card and have the Debt Shredder pay itself off. So this thing doesn't just stop with helping get you out of debt. It's going to demonstrate the earning potential of the money that you've saved by paying down the debt faster. It also shows you the cost of borrowing the money and how much, like I said, how much you lose every single month by putting off that decision. Again, I mentioned, I'll reiterate, the free analysis I'll do for anybody. You can either contact me here. You have the email there. Contact the person who invited you onto this webinar tonight, and because either they'll have the input sheet, I'll provide it to anybody that requests it. This is one of the benefits of the university series that we're doing here. So like I said, the next step, talk to the person that invited you, request a free analysis to see if the debt shredder can help you. And like I said, for sure, if you know financial advisors, realtors, insurance agents love the debt shredder. But at the end of the day, your financial situation will only change if you take action. And eliminating the debt is just the beginning. I'll turn it over back to Jack and Gina, and certainly willing to answer any questions.
Eric, this is Albert.
Yes, Albert.
I have a question. So, I noticed, I've tried doing, the mortgage acceleration and applying, payments earlier, but they don't hold it. Like you said, most of the systems are just kind of adding payments. How does it ensure it's applying it to the mortgage? Because some lenders, they won't play that game with us, right? They won't apply it to the mortgage, which of course we save in interest, right?
Right. And so there are a couple of things. And by the way, that's a very good point. And some people send in the money and then they don't verify that the money is going where it's supposed to go. So one of the strategies, for example, and for those of you who still make write good old fashioned checks and mail them in, is to mark the check clearly. The second thing is you got to make sure that you're not behind on your escrows, because what lenders do, and it's in the mortgage document, which is, by the way, one more reason to get rid of your mortgage company, because when they signed you up for the mortgage, in the mortgage documents, it says that all monies that are received first get applied to any outstanding amounts, past due interest. If there's no past due interest, then it has to go to the escrow account, which means the tax account and the interest or insurance account that they're holding for you.
Mhm.
Now, if you borrow more than 80%, you don't have a choice. You're going to have an escrow account. When you get to the fortunate position of having less than 80% loan to value, you can opt out of the escrow. And here's the thing. Escrow accounts usually are about 2% of your annual property value is taxes. And let's just say half of that, again, for interest. So a $300,000 average house, 2% is $6,000. Half of that, again, for the insurance, another, $2,000-3,000. So you could easily have an escrow account of $6,000 to $8,000 that the mortgage company, because it's in their documents. Now, once you've satisfied those escrows, then they're required to apply any balance.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay.
When
meaning
you
I
get out
gotta
of debt
fill
from the mortgage
requirements.
company, I just want to make one really good point, because when you get past that 80% LTV, loan to value, or you get rid of your mortgage, guess who holds that $6,000 escrow account? Me. Right?
Yeah.
And when you have a number of rental properties, that account, because what I do is, every month when the rent checks come in, I separate what goes to mortgage companies where there's a mortgage company, and I put into a separate interest-bearing account that I have, then the interest goes to me. All my escrow money goes into that account so that at the end of the year, when my tax bill comes due, I can write that check. But guess who's earning the interest? And if I pay my taxes early and get the discount, guess who gets to keep the interest and the discount? You have no idea how much money escrow accounts account for and make money for the lenders. So that's not a small deal.
Is that the same principle with credit cards and student loans? How are we accelerating, the debt for credit cards, student loans, and car loans?
Yeah, so here's the thing. If you remember that there's different types of debt.
Mhm.
Mortgages are amortized. So there's one algorithm, there's one very complicated formula. If you ever Google the formula for amortization,
Mhm.
it's a pretty interesting, it's iterations, because every time you have to take last month's balance, calculate the interest, divide by 12, etc. That's one algorithm. Credit card companies have their own set of algorithms, and every company has a different algorithm, which the debt shredder, by the way, knows how to reverse engineer.
Got it.
Right? So it can calculate backwards. It tells you what is the excess principal payment that they require in their minimum payment. So it can figure out how much you have to pay, and should I pay this credit card or should I pay that credit card? Because based on their algorithm is how much interest they're going to charge you and be able to extract from you. Car payments are simple interest. And so depending on whether you're a simple interest loan, a compound interest loan, the debt shredder reverse engineers that when you put the information in, and then it feeds it back into all those what if situations. And then it says, okay, this is your GPS path to being debt free.
Got it. Okay. So it really knows the model behind it and then figures out, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
There's
Very
different-
good question. Thanks.
Okay, great.
Any other questions?
I'd be surprised if there were any other questions, because you pretty much covered everything. That was a great presentation. Really appreciate
Thank
it,
you.
Eric.
Well, it is a passion, as you can see, and as I was mentioning, I've been involved in the mortgage business for several decades now, and I absolutely love that business with a passion. And it's ironic that my goal is to use debt to help people to get out of debt and build financial freedom. And when I found out that that Market America had this product, that's when I became an unfranchised owner. It wasn't even a split-second question, because if it had no other products, in fact, the funny story, I don't know if I didn't see whether Don was on the call tonight, but one day I was, I had got in, I signed up, I wanted the product, I wanted this for my clients. And one day Don said to me, hey, Eric, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. And I go like, what do you mean by that? And he says, well, there's a whole other business aspect to the unfranchised owners concept. And when I said, well, tell me more. And that's all I'll say is that anyone, whoever invited you on the call tonight, ask the person who invited you, tell me more.
All right, Eric, you invited me, so you got to tell me about what this unfranchise is. Okay.
I absolutely will. We'll schedule a call, Albert. So and we can have that call tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, well, now speaking of other things, and I see Luis Perez is on, and it's great to see him again. I haven't seen him in a while, but Luis is very involved in nonprofits and how this type of a program can help nonprofits with their funding, or rather to eliminate any debt that they would have to pay back as part of their funding, part of their fundraising, as it were. Have you dealt with any nonprofits yourself?
Well, I have an expert here on the call with us in the area of nonprofits. Just so happens that Maleva's here too. There's really two ways that the debt shredder can really benefit a nonprofit. Number one, like you just said, they can use it themselves to reallocate how they spend their money. And actually that would make them look much better to their donors, to show how effective that they're being about using their money, and as interest-free and effectively or efficiently as possible. So that's number one. Number two, and maybe Maleva, you want to speak a little bit to this, but because if they were to share this concept to their donors and how their donors could save money, pay less interest, that the fundraise, it could be a fundraising effort. And Maleva, you want to add to that?
Yeah, it's actually so funny that you brought that up, Jack, because Lewis is one of the reasons that I dove so far into the nonprofit because of the work that he was doing. And so he was kind of the catalyst behind me doing some of this research on the program. But exactly how you phrase it, Eric, was perfect because, you know, everything that the parent company of the Debt Shredder does, it has so many different divisions that every single division has the potential to be a fundraising, royalty generating stream for the nonprofit. And so even if, excuse me, you wanted to use the Debt Shredder in the form of a workshop, I think that's such an excellent idea that nonprofits can create like finance workshops, and then any purchases of the software could be paid to the nonprofit as royalties.
Yeah, and I would be happy to help, you know, for a nonprofit. I'll help put on the workshop for you. You set it up and get the nonprofit on board, but I'll be happy to
Wow,
to volunteer the time to do the workshop.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, Eric, it was interesting, and because I wasn't really thinking of it in that way, but to be able to have the supporting base of the nonprofit utilizing the Debt Shredder for their own purposes would actually be able to increase their ability to tithe further to the nonprofits without it actually, you know, hurting them at all. They'll actually be able to give more and actually still save money themselves. That's actually an incredible product.
Yeah, because remember in that one person's case, which were not big numbers, right? The $200,000, you know, $192,000 of debt, and we were going to save them something like $130,000 in interest, right? So I asked you, Mr. Donor, if I could show you how to save $130,000, could you, do you think that a little piece of that could go to my nonprofit?
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, we're talking big numbers.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Now, I actually have a question. Does that, because it's interest cancellation, does that count towards your tax return? Like, do you claim that as profit?
Great question, because and I know the answer. The interest, whenever you, for example, when you are forgiven debt, right? The IRS considers that income and taxable.
Mm-hmm.
We're not eliminating the debt, we're eliminating the interest. So it's 100% tax-free to you, the savings.
That's amazing. And then you can take that money that you don't have to pay on and then put it towards a nonprofit, which you get a write-off for.
I win again. It's called a real win-win situation.
That's amazing. I never thought about that. So literally just now.
Yeah,
That's cool.
that's why this product is so exciting.
That was definitely a good idea, because what I'm actually doing now is I've been working with over 36 nonprofits in the Lehigh Valley, and we've been working on a lot of projects and programs. A lot of it has to do with entrepreneurship, youth leadership. We have a beauty, health, and wellness, which of course we're going to be utilizing the platform for motives. We have a music and media project that we're doing, so we'll be utilizing Conquer as well. But out of all the funding that they're giving us, that the funders are committing towards the program, we already got 7 years of funding towards the programs, and it's $650,000 that they already committed for every year. So what we're going to be doing is I already got a $40,000 budget to buy all the professional kits and the kids' kits to teach them motives, the application, and the mentorship program. But then now we're looking into building out a building where we're going to build out a youth center. We're going to have a media room, a photography room. We're going to be teaching fashion and design, so many aspects of entrepreneurship. but it's a way of taking their funding money and filtering it right back into the system by utilizing our platform and trying to get as much as they can. I mean, we're going over a $34 million budget right now, and half of that's going to go towards refurbishing houses. All the nonprofits order the stuff themselves right through Home Depot, Lowe's, and all of them sites. So we're going to show them how we could take all of that money, as much of it as possible, and filter right back in through that system.
That's amazing. That's you know, my hat goes off to you, man. That's really good, important work. And you know, one of the things when we were talking about all the stuff that you're doing for kids, because that's a place near and dear to my heart, which is financial literacy. And just imagine teaching our kids not to get into debt in the first place, and then how to use the right kind of debt, and then, you know, when you use the right debt, how to get out of it quickly. So I'm 100% behind you, Louis.
I got to get a call with you, and I had 2 guests on tonight. One of the guests was a developer and investor. He's investing on purchasing 20 properties to do transitional housing for us and for all facets of community aspect. And then the other young lady was Stephanie, but she's a banker. She's looking to start a nonprofit to do exactly that, teach kids in all ages financial literacy. So I'll definitely love to see if I can connect it with her to have that same exact conversation. We partnered as well with SCORE, which is a national organization that does mentoring.
Service Corps of Retired Executives.
Yep. So what we're doing is utilizing their services to teach our youth and individuals that are looking to become entrepreneurs. And of course, wherever this fits, we're looking to fit it in. So definitely, I'll connect with you. Thank you, Maleva, for inviting me tonight. And I'm glad we had our guest on, and they both had to cut off early. We've been on Zooms all day, but both of them sent me a message that they were excited. It was a good presentation. I'll touch base with them tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Maleva rocks.
I'm just a good people connector, and I let you all shine and be amazing, because clearly you all are amazing.
Awesome. All right, well, if nobody else has any other questions.
No, that was incredible.
No, all right, well, for everybody, we did record this, so I'll put it out there. Yes, Fatima, yeah, I see that. Look, your face is recorded, so you know it's too late. I will have this recording out on our YouTube channel for people to review this again. So I'll post it out there for everybody to be able to download. So again, thank you so much, Eric, for your time. Really appreciate it, and I hope everybody has a great evening.
Jack,
Thank you,
all right.
Eric.
Thank you so much, Jack. Eric,
Jack,
thank you.
everyone.
Good night.
Amazing.